Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this final Monday of 2025. It's December 29th. The McAllen Police Department is investigating a shooting that killed a Mission businessman on Saturday. A news release reported that 61-year-old Eddie Betancourt was found by McAllen police officers responding to a business at the 800 block of North Ware Road around 4 p.m. Betancourt was the vice chairman of the Hidalgo County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Officers found him not responsive at the scene with no pulse and appeared to be injured by gunshot. The McAllen Police Department is investigating the homicide with local, state, and federal agencies. Meanwhile, in Rockport, police and the Texas Rangers are investigating a shooting that left one person dead and another hospitalized on Christmas Day. Rockport PD reported on Facebook that local officers responded at about 12:45 p.m. to a home in the 700 block of North Ann, where they found two people who had been shot. One of the individuals was pronounced dead at the scene. The second person was taken by EMS to an area hospital for treatment. The Rockport Pilot reports the incident is isolated to the home where it occurred and there is no threat to the public. The investigation is ongoing with assistance from the Texas Rangers. No additional details were released. A traffic stop in Goliad County last week involving in-tow caravans turned into a major bust of about 20 stolen vehicles. The Victoria Advocate reports that Sheriff Roy Boyd and his deputies made the stop with probable cause after noticing several cars in the caravans without license plates. Boyd said only one of the vehicles was legally registered. The rest of the about 20 vehicles were impounded. As New Year's approaches, both the Corpus Christi Fire and Police Departments are reminding residents that fireworks are not allowed within city limits, including beach areas. Setting off fireworks within city limits is strictly prohibited. Individuals found in violation may face fines of up to $2,000 for each open package of fireworks. Residents who witness illegal fireworks activity are encouraged to report it by calling 361-886-COPS. That's 361-886-2677. Please note that 911 should only be used for emergencies, not to report complaints about fireworks. Texas has some of the nation's highest property taxes, and that's long been a sore spot for homeowners. So this year, state lawmakers from both sides of the aisle tried to lower those taxes. And while they're touting their successes heading into an election year, the battle is far from over, with many homeowners still complaining taxes are too high. As we close out 2025 and look to the new year, the Texas Newsroom's Blaze Gainey has this recap of what did change in the world of property taxes and what the state's leaders are now saying they'll tackle in the future.
For most property taxpayers in Texas, the homestead exemption is what ends up saving them the most money. That exemption applies to someone's primary residence and reduces how much of the property's value they'll pay taxes on. In 2025, Texas lawmakers passed and voters approved amendments to the state's constitution that increased the homestead exemption by $40,000 for all homeowners. On top of that, those with disabilities or over the age of 65 got an extra $60,000 exemption. State Senator Paul Betancourt, a Houston Republican, says this year's move is another cut on the pile that lawmakers have been working on for years.
What the state has been doing since 2019 is to dramatically ramp up how much money is being budgeted for property tax relief. We're now at $51 billion, which is well into 20% of the state's budget.
All in, estimates from the state claim the average Texas homeowner will save around $1,700 on their property taxes each year due to the growing homestead exemption. But that isn't the case for everyone, with some still seeing high tax bills. Shannon Hallbrook handles fiscal policy research for the advocacy group Every Texan. While he gets that everyone likes lower taxes, he thinks lawmakers here need to stay mindful of how much it'll end up costing the state.
We need to be asking ourselves how much we can afford to keep cutting them.
Still, Hallbrook knows property taxes will be a big talking point in 2026. While campaigns are ongoing for statewide offices, all of the Texas State House members, and half of its state senators.
We have the 7th highest property taxes in the country. And so it's easy for someone running for office to say, hey, we know your property taxes are still high, and even though we've cut them so much, we're just going to keep on cutting them because it sounds good.
In fact, Governor Greg Abbott did just that during his re-election campaign kickoff event in Houston last month.
Voters in Texas should have the ability to vote on a constitutional amendment abolishing the school district property tax in Texas.
That's a goal for the broader Republican Party of Texas, but it would put the state on the hook for covering the lost revenue.
And I don't think it would ever pass.
That's Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, a fellow Republican, speaking earlier this month.
Because to get rid of all school taxes is about $40 billion. And that's what it would take for us to collect taxes to get rid of all school property taxes.
Without those taxes, Patrick says the state would be heavily reliant on the sales tax, which would need to be increased by as much as 15 cents to cover cost. But no matter what Texas leaders talk about in the lead up to the 2026 midterms, the state legislature doesn't go back in session again until 2027, when they could actually make any substantial changes. That may seem like a long time from now, but Patrick's already rolling out proposals. He's calling it the double nickel and says it'll be a top priority for Republicans in 2027. His plan would drop the qualifying age for the senior citizens homestead exemption from 65 to 55.
That means for an extra 10 years, from 55 to 65, your values are frozen. You don't ever have to worry about appraisals anymore. And by the way, how many homeowners is that? 3.3 million homeowners.
Patrick estimates it cost the state under $4 billion and could save older Texas homeowners close to $10,000 over those extra 10 years. It's important to remember that Texas doesn't have a state income tax, making property taxes one of the few ways taxing entities like schools, counties, and hospital districts can bring in revenue. So while the issue will remain top of mind for Texas homeowners and lawmakers for years to come, there's no quick or easy fix that'll make everyone happy. I'm Blaze Gainey in Austin.
Over the weekend, about 1,300 runners and hundreds of spectators from across the country took part in the inaugural CCTX Marathon weekend. The city of Corpus Christi hosted the first ever event on Saturday and Sunday, and it was also a Boston Marathon qualifying race. Participants ran various courses this weekend, either the 26.2-mile marathon, a 13.1-mile half marathon, or a two-person half marathon relay. There was also a 5K race held at the event this past weekend. And in college basketball, Texas A&M Corpus Christi and UTRGV enter the main part of their Southland Conference schedule this week. First, TAMUCC gets back into league play at the Hilliard Center today and Wednesday against Nicholls State and the University of New Orleans, respectively. The Islander men are currently 1-1 in Southland play and undefeated at home this season at 4-0. The Islander women enter this week's games looking for a conference win and will mark the first games for the 1-8 team in their home city since November. Both the UTRGV Vaqueros men's and women's teams are also 1-1 in their conference schedule. They will host tonight and Wednesday at the UTRGV Field House against University of New Orleans and Nicholls State. Then, UTRGV and TAMUCC will face off Saturday in matchups part of both the SLC schedule and the university's South Texas Showdown rivalry. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.